Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and we are still talking about the Fitch report on Nigeria. Dr. Boniface Chizia, economic and policy analyst, is still here with me in the studios. Thank you so much, Dr. Chizia, for sticking around. So let's take a look at other items that were actually mentioned. Given the slowdown in growth recorded in the second quarter of the year, Fitch is actually estimating a GDP growth rate of 3.6%. Are there any immediate policy responses, for instance, that can stimulate the economy?
Well, I should think so. I think that this administration really is intent on stimulating the economy. But then I think that we are not moving with sort of speed, which we should move. For instance, one had expected that by now, there should have been a supplementary budget. We're just operating. I think that we're just, doing a revenue expenditure, and nobody is even thinking of the budget itself. But I expect that this administration has come on board. There was a budget that was approved for 2015, and they also have been on this platform say that we expect that the president would come, and then there should be a supplementary budget that says. But it seems like we're not doing anything about capital expenditure. Okay, so even the capital expenditure budget we had, wasn't something to write home about. We had capital expenditure that was about, less than 1 billion, naira and so on. So when you have that sort of situation, if you're not doing capital expenditure, then you're going to have the sort of growth that we want to see. But then also, you read in the papers that the vice president, they say that we are going to try and raise an infrastructure fund of 25 billion.
A recession fund.
My fund, so so that's the way to go. If we're able to get that sort of money, that's the way to go. But then also, you also need, if you want to, also the administration talks about meal at school. Okay, that's also, if you can do that, and you begin to make sure that children at school get 1 meal a day and so on, that it has multiplier effect in terms of the suppliers and so on.
That's the value chain.
Value chain, so we come in, and then so that also would. So when in the situation we are in, we need to begin to look for areas in which we need to begin to say how we can get back activity. Get people, engaged, economic agents engaged. In some parts of the world, they go into public works. People go into public works, so go and start digging things and so on and so on, and start paying you money. It's as silly as that, because they want to get people engaged, they want people working, they want people to, to have spending capacity. Money goes into their hands, and then they begin to buy things, and they begin to buy things, they stimulate demand, and then the store capacity again is brought into use, and then you get the multiplier.
So definitely looking at the policies now, for instance, that the Central Bank of Nigeria has come up with, especially with regards to forex management, is still in line with trying to regulate the economy as much as possible, and still, make it up to standard to what these international agencies are actually looking to see from the economy.
Yeah, but then Central Bank also, if they talk about this, they have this medium, micro, medium, and small scale enterprises funds. And I read in the papers they put 220 billion naira. It's been there, and then the states they're not coming forward to take this money. Now, they are not coming to take this money because Central Bank has put controls in place that says the states will have to guarantee, they take a stand, guarantee this money, but this money will not go to them. So the money is going to go to, the actual beneficiaries and so on and so. So these states are very reluctant. Okay, so there are platforms, we put certain policies in place that would expect that if people key into, we begin to stimulate. If you can get small and medium scale enterprises, you get them to be engaged and get back on, get back to work, and the multiplier on the economy will be quite substantial.
Let's take a look at one of those low-hanging fruits that was actually suggested by Fitch. Is advocating increase in value-added tax, which will boost non-oil revenue. But do you think that this should happen? Should there be an increase in standard rate of VAT, for instance?
Well, why not? I think that we are challenged. And if you take the VAT, which is at 5%, it's about the lowest within the sub-region. I looked at this a while ago. Even in Ghana, it's higher. In the sub-region is high, and some places it's 10, it's more than that, and so on. I can't recall the figures. So at 5%, we have room. There's headroom for us to increase, the valuable income. We need to do that. You see, the fact that we are challenged is not that this administration will have to think outside the box to begin to find ways to mobilize revenues. So like I've said before, that in most countries in the world, they don't spend monies from something like oil money. They don't spend it on consumption. But what you're doing is that you are advantaging, the upcoming generation. So they are not going to get a benefit from it. Such monies, should be spent on infrastructure, investments, and so on that would last. What they do for recurrent expenses, they tap on taxation. And I believe that, the tax within the tax area, there's a lot of scope for us to move. I'm not talking about increasing the tax rate, but I believe that there are lots of people who should be paying tax and they are not paying today. Okay, so I think that. But I think that also the VAT. I think we should increase the VAT. But of course, again, there's this concern that people are not doing very well, and then there's hardship in the land and so on. And so by taking more money from them, by increasing, but then we have to it's like the subsidy thing. Sometimes the economic summit talked about tough choices, so and achieving competitiveness, it's going to be difficult for us to achieve. I think that's why I just did an article where I talked about, making tough economic choices. It's published today in Tuesday, and appeared in so many other papers. The choices are tough. And so you have to say, look, okay, we have to increase this. It's going to cost more. Already the misery index in the land it's high, but then there are certain decisions you still have to take. So maybe you look for palliatives, to cushion the effect. You remove subsidy, you do palliatives. I mean, the downtrodden you're talking about, to what extent do they enjoy this subsidy? So if it's not that, okay, you remove subsidy, that's going to spike in prices, transportation and so on and so forth. People are patriotic, they're going to react. Then so it's okay, then how do we cushion this? So you go into discussions and so on, and then you put in some, those who target some things that would cause some relief in certain specific segments of the population, and you do that. And that's why it's very tough. And that's why we need to be coming together to do things. I think that we are taking up too slowly.
But so there are also been calls for external sector adjustment and curbing structural change. How do you think that this can be achieved realistically, especially looking at the situation as it is?
Well, I think the structural change, the structural change we have in Nigeria, we've talked about it since 1986, and structural adjustment program, it was 1986. The structure of the economy is not what it should be, in the sense that we are overly dependent on oil. And so we're talking about diversifying the economic base. Yes, so we talked about this, and then it's been on the drawing board for a very long time. And then you see what you've done, you now ask yourself, why aren't you making sort of progress we should make? I think that at a large extent it comes to the fact that we've not had a focused, determined attitude, to having these things implemented. Like you said, there are going to be difficulties, but then sometimes if you're focused and you want to do something, then you go ahead and do it. When Obama came, on board in 2008, he had difficult choices to take. I took the choices, and then I paid off in the end. So you have to take a decision in the sense that it's going to affect some people negatively, and so what you do is to look for something that is going to impact, that's going to have greater impact, greater good in terms of that people are going to be affected.
But so now looking at all of this, and various reports, agency reports highlighting slowing economic growth from Nigeria and from, of course, international agencies as well. What's your outlook for the rest of the year into 2016?
Well, I think that we need to, if we can get back on course. I think that I've had some comments by this administration, at least some comments during the Nigerian Economic Summit group, some of the things that the Vice President did say. I think all the policy issues, what should be done, we're not lacking in that direction. But I think that, but they are not being implemented. And so you say to yourself, for instance, when is this cabinet going to be in place? When are they going to take off? When are the policies going to come on? And until that begins to happen, I think that, and then you begin to implement the policies. I think that certainly the growth is not going to be what has been in the past. We are growing up like nobody. The people are saying 3 points. You said the fish rating said 3 points, but I've had 2 points. I think we did 2 points. Some quarter.
Yeah,
that's
2.3.
2.3. And so, if we can do 3 points, that means we are doing well. And the way you now put that with the fact that rate of population is growing by 3%, then that tells you what challenge is confronting this country.
Well, we're still going to be keeping our eye, of course, on developing issues within the economy. But thank you so much, Dr. Chizia, for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you, Harriet, for having me. Thank you.
Dr. Boniface Chizia is an economic and policy analyst, giving us his perspectives on the Fitch report and, of course, what needs to be done by the monetary and fiscal authorities to quickly get the economy back on track. That's it on Business Morning for today. Many thanks for spending time with us. I'm Harriet Agmeni. Have a profitable day.